Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Break free from the forces holding you back. Get the life you deserve. Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, decrease depression, and start living your full potential. Thousands have used Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory, an evidence-based behavioral health breakthrough with incredible life-changing results. Getting rid of past trauma, having fulfilling relationships, increasing earnings, and living their best life. Now, the Foojan app is available to everyone. The app is Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory in the palm of your hand. Download the Foojan app today.
Do you wish to wake up one day and hit the Life Reset button? Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by Dr. Foojan Zeine, helps you navigate crucial life areas, heal the past traumas, and cultivate fulfilling relationships and careers. Life Reset is your guide to a profound journey to reshape your life. Grab your copy on Amazon or Audible now and embark on a path to a more joyous and fulfilled life.
Welcome to The Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist and author and the creator of the Awareness Integration Theory, and I'm so thrilled to have you join me today for what I promise you to be a fun and insightful discussion. Today, in this episode, I chat with Sam Bennett. She's the author of Get It Done, Start Right Where You Are, and most recently, her book, The 15-Minute Method, The Surprisingly Simple Art of Getting It Done. She's a writer, she's a speaker, she's an actor and creativity and productivity specialist, and she's the founder of the Real Sam Bennett Company, which is committed to helping people everywhere in the world who are overwhelmed, creatives, and frustrated overachievers trying to get unstuck and flow. Sam is also a popular course instructor on LinkedIn Learning with over 1 million class participants worldwide. She's in Connecticut, and she's with us from Connecticut, and you will find her online on www.therealsambennett.com. So it was a joy reading her book. It was a joy talking to her, and very simple art of how to shift your mind, how to shift your mood, what to do, how to do it in 15-minute increments. And it's a beautiful conversation, which I learned, we shared. I gave a promise to myself and all of you at the end. So you've got to watch or listen to this one, all right? Be sure to subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel. Connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com. Email me, okay, foojanzeine@gmail.com or drfoojanzeine@gmail.com. I want to hear from you. Tell me what your likes, dislikes, what is it you want us to talk about, what topics you want us to talk about, and I'll bring all of them. Connect with me on my social media podcast and all, platforms and all of, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of them, and share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, here's Sam Bennett.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, 3 experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.
Hi, Sam. It is so nice to have you, everyone. We have Sam Bennett with us, the author of the 15-Minute Method. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everybody.
So you say the surprisingly simple art of getting it done. So what showed up? How come you came up with 15 minutes, not 16? How come you wanted to write about all of the 15-minute you start with 52 ways creating 15-minute method for everyone. And they're really fun too. So how come?
Well, yeah. So the whole idea is you can change your entire life in 15 minutes a day. That's the premise. And people say, really, is that so? And I'm like, well, you already are. I mean, you're already living your life in 15-minute increments. So, and the things you choose to do with your time affect how your life goes. And it's a little subversive, though, isn't it? I mean, it sort of feels like, well, that's not enough time. I couldn't possibly do that. And yet the word I hear over and over and over again from people is overwhelm. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. And I think overwhelm is tricky because it sounds like it's an outside problem. It sounds like it's all the things are making me overwhelmed, but that's not true. It's inside of your mind. You are making you overwhelmed. And recently, I just started thinking about this. Tell me what you think about this. I think overwhelm in part comes from too much input and not enough output. Right? So we're like too much scrolling, too much data, too many opinions, too many thoughts, too many shows, too many things, too many choices. But when you take 15 minutes a day to do something that matters to you, to spend some concentrated time on something that really lights you up inside, well, now you're creating something, right? You're putting something out into the world, even if it's just 15 minutes of peace and quiet sitting in the garden, or 15 minutes of stretching, or 15 minutes of clutter clearing, or 15 minutes of writing, or doodling, or whatever, tying flies, whatever you like to do. And it's amazing. It's amazing how much you can get done in 15 minutes. And it's really amazing how much you can get done in 15 minutes every day for a week, a month, a year, 62 years. Like eventually you're going to get good.
Very much. As you were sharing, I recalled, needing to be getting ready for a kind of a TEDx talk that I had to do. And it was interesting because they went from first 20 minutes to 15 minutes to 12 minutes. And for me, it was more like, well, I just want to start talking and go on. And I have so much to say. And it was like, yeah. But can we get it concise? You can have so much to say, but can you take away the fluff of it and just be efficient in what you need to say? And as I'm hearing you also say, is you could have a lot of thought processes that are not necessarily useful. And when you're going toward this kind of what you said, an overwhelm is a lot of useless, let's say, not useful conversation about things that are taking your time, overwhelming you, getting your emotions all, worked up.
Right.
It's what you shared, which is when you put things into action, you're not necessarily wasting time because your action actually has some impact. It has, some results. And when you get that results, either it didn't go your way, you could learn from it and redo it, or you got the reward because it got somewhere.
That's right. Because when you do things, things happen. When you do things, things happen. And I'll also point out that, we do all the things for all the people all the time, right? We spend all day, every day getting everything done for everybody. But the thing that really matters to you, that would make a difference to you, to your heart, to your creativity, to your body, to your finances, to your family, doesn't even make it onto the list, right? The thing that's most important to you is still sitting in a drawer. And we keep waiting for there's going to be some perfect time. Well, maybe after the summer. Well, maybe after the kids go back. Well, maybe in the fall. Well, maybe, baby. There's no maybe. There's no future. Now, today is your day. Start today.
And I've also, based on what you're sharing, also noticed that many people have a mood-based.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're doing that mood-based life, you're much more overwhelmed and you keep postponing and putting that versus having a commitment and putting it together so that you'll have, the 15 minutes to do things, or things go well because you are putting them in a structure for yourself. One of the things that I liked, you said, skip the first step. And I was really like, what is that? So as I was reading your book, I said, and you're right, you're so right that when we have an idea, that we make this so big for ourselves and is because we have the whole idea and how do I get there and all of that, then, we starting it is the hardest part of any kind of a task that we have. And you say, come on, skip the first step. Can you share about that a bit?
I think you've said two really important things. One is this thing of, quit waiting for the right time or to be ready or to be in a good mood to do it. Believe me, once you do it, then you'll be in a good mood. Nobody feels ready before they do it, right? Whatever it is for you. So that's one is, it's quit waiting for this perfect time. And skip. So often I hear people say like, oh, I really want to write a screenplay, so I guess I should take a class in screenwriting. Yeah, just grab a bunch of index cards and start writing, see what happens. If later on you need more education, sure, fine, get it. But not to start. You want to start writing, start writing. You want to start dancing, start dancing. I have a friend who decided she wanted to learn to paint, and she just set herself a time every day to sit down and start painting. Because most of what you need to learn in life, you learn from doing.
Very much. You also share about give yourself a reward after everything. And I love some of your ideas. They were fun. And I remember, how do I do this? Obviously, chocolate cookies are always best, but
Never wrong.
never wrong. I know. But I remember, I hate exercising. I think all my audience has heard this so many times. So what I've done is I found this app, which is a dancing app. And I'm like, I like that. So what I do is I give myself like this time that I have to do the Peloton and I got to do the serious stuff. And then it's like right after that, you got to do this. And then right after that, I put which is still exercising. I mean, the whole dancing app is for exercising. But then I put that. So kind of, reward myself within that. And it's so important when you put that in this structure in, because it gives you some motivation to move forward when tasks feel like, ugh, I don't want to do this, and you push it aside.
Yeah, that's right. And I think for anything that that we don't want to do, that to make it, see if you can't make it more like something you do want to do. That would be one way, right? So like you enjoy dancing. Dancing is exercise. I mean, every health professional in the world will tell you that 15 minutes of anything every day is great for your body and mind, right? Stretching, yoga, Pilates, running, walking, skipping, jumping, finger extra, anything, anything. And yes, and tying it to something that you already like, or if nothing else, giving yourself a prize at the end is, we're animals. We're motivated by treats.
We certainly are. And I think most people see this as the motivation through food, but there's so many other ways of motivating yourself. But part of it has to do with knowing what gives you pleasure so that you can set that up.
And I have a thing about, tell me if this is you too, where like I'll get a fancy lotion or somebody will give me, something fancy like that for a present, and I'll use it and then I'll stop. Like when there's just a little bit left, I feel like, oh, I have to save it for good or something, which again, life is happening today, right? There's no such thing as the future. That's just a movie that we're playing inside of our mind. Use it up today. So that sometimes will be my reward of like, oh, if I do XYZ today, I'll use that fancy shower gel in the shower, and then I'll spend all day smelling like Joe Malone, peonies and blush suede, which is lovely.
You said, pretend you're already an expert. And it reminded me, I have clients who come in and they don't know how to flirt.
Oh.
Pretty much. They're wanting to go on dates. They're wanting to go and, start a new relationship. And they keep going on dates. And it's like, I have no idea. So for the feminine girl, she doesn't know how to, or for the guy, like they go in out there and come back. And it's part of what I have been sharing with people is find, a role model who is that, and you think they're the best at it, that you think, I'm not saying other people think, but that matches your personality, because when you look at them and you're like, that's it, that's who I intend to act like or be, and just pretend to be that. And we do that a lot with acting, right? Like actors have to do this. And you're sharing it that you could be an expert in anything and not really push yourself as, aside as I got to do 100 things before, I can be an expert. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what you're touching on is one of the very best ways for human beings to learn is by modeling. We're tribal animals. When we see somebody else do something, that's when we go, oh, I can do that. My mom tells a story about my little sister learning to swim, and she was, nervous and afraid about it. But she had a cousin who was almost exactly the same age. And my cousin Stevie jumped right into the pool and was paddling around. My sister was like, right into the water, right? So it's a great way for us to learn. So that idea of like, just mimic the person that you want to be like, just borrow from them, borrow their mannerisms, borrow their vibe, and see how that works for you. The other thing, this word expert, like, it's so heavy, isn't it? And I think everybody feels like, oh, I'm not an expert. And, people with, my most recent ex-husband, I love all my husbands, by the way, but my most recent ex-husband had 3 master's degrees and a PhD. And he would say, oh no, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I've barely scratched the surface. Right. So I'm like, and we all feel that way, I think, especially about the things that we're passionate about. So to say, okay, you may not know everything, but you know more than many. And I often remind my clients that the root word of expert is the same root word as experience and experiment. So you may or may not be an expert, but you certainly have some experience in this area. Right? You've certainly experimented with some of these ideas and practices. So go with that. Go with that.
It's so true. When the concept of the modeling and how we bring it in and how we interject it inside internally. And the other side of it is, do I always see it that it's outside and forget that I have so much experience already? And where to use it, right? Yeah. I remember I kept saying, I'm not a salesperson. I suck at selling. I can't do it. And when I have like workshops and things that I got to do, I freeze up and I'm like, oh, I don't want them to think da. And then I recalled, when I was going through a lot of the success seminars that I used to go to because I loved them and I was really getting experience, or many other experts that are around me that I go and utilize, I call all my friends and I'm like, hey, you got to come. It's this much. Don't worry about the money. You've got to create the money. You've got to come. And I'm like, that's all. I'm doing it for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it because I get absolutely almost 90% result every time. I'm getting everybody ready to go and listen to another expert or come with me to another class or a spiritual journey or something, and everybody's like, yeah, Foojan's doing it, we're doing it too, we're gonna go. And then when it comes to me, I come up with all of these excuses as if I'm not the expert. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I said, you are an expert. Just when it comes to here, you have other excuses that show up, which I'm going to segue to your other concept, which you say, what are your excuses really mean? And this is such an important fact, such an important part to really look at, which is the excuses we tell ourselves, which holds us back from action. And what is the message internally?
Yeah. So this thing of the stories we tell ourselves that keep us stuck, right? This I'm no good at selling. Well, when you remember that sales is service, right? It's easy for you to sell other people's things because no, come to this thing. It'll be great. It'll be great. It'll be great. Well, when I was first starting out as an entrepreneur and offering workshops and things, and I was also felt shy about selling and about offering, but I had a friend who said, do you think that what you do helps people? And I said, oh yeah, I know it does. Of course it does. And he goes, great. Then you owe it to them to do everything you can to get them in the door. And sometimes that means grabbing them by the lapels and shaking them a little bit, it means calling them a time, it means going a little further than you might comfortably go because it's going to make a difference for them.
Yes.
And if it's not going to make a difference for them, like if they're not the right person, then I would never go your own way, find your people, like God bless the unsubscribes, don't worry about it. Right. But these stories that we tell ourselves that keep us stuck, And that particular portion of the book, I'm a little, it felt a little risky writing it because I get a little extra truthful sometimes. And there's one I remember writing, and even when I wrote it, I was like, ooh, that stings a little bit. When I hear people saying, I don't know, I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure. I haven't, I haven't decided. I'm not sure. What that actually says to me is either one of two things. Either you are unwilling to trust your own intuition and inner knowing, and or you are unwilling to ask someone smarter than you. So which is it? Either way, staying in the story of I don't know, I don't know, I don't know is just spinning your wheels. That's not getting you anywhere. So make a decision. I'm going to decide that I do know. And I may not know everything, but I know what I know, and I know enough to get from here to here. I don't know the whole journey yet, but I know from here to here. So I'm just going to do that and see what happens, right? Again, baby steps, little actions, 15 minutes a day, see what happens. Or I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to talk to a doctor. I'm going to call an expert. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to find out the things that I don't. I'm going to hire a decorator, find somebody who's better at it than you are. The things, the games we play with ourselves of like, well, it's, I can't do XYZ because my family needs me. That my people need me. Like, okay, so what you're really saying is it feels safer to you to put other people's needs ahead of your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. That feels safer to me too. I also enjoy putting other people's needs ahead of my own. But every once in a while, you're going to have to say, you know what? I come first this time. Yeah. If nothing else, for the 15 minutes, right?
Yes, and it's only 15 minutes that you could put in for yourself, and that's very important. The concept of the excuses are very, very important fact, because there are a lot of the belief systems that shows up for us that they're so subconscious. We've lived with them for so long. They've been such a good strategy at one point in life, but then they extend their invitation they kind of like hang around while our life has changed and possibly no longer working, because it's telling the rest of life is telling us that's not working. But we kind of go at it for a long time. I remember in relationship, like intimate relationship, I can't, it like you said, I wasn't working for a long time, and I really started looking at, I had made a decision based on a hurt like at age 13, 14, or wounds that I had in childhood, or looking at my parents' marriage that didn't work. And I had solid subconscious decisions that I had made and beliefs that I had made about relationships. And it would show up, and it didn't matter how much I said, I want to go in one, I'm going to do this, I'm going to learn skills, I'm going to do all of that, until those, kind of underlying belief systems were not caught by me and worked through, and all of it, that it didn't, you can't really move on with life, because every time you move on, something comes and jeopardizes. And I created a psychology model, and one of the core pieces of it is being able to shift these beliefs that are underlying the sabotaging. And part of what you're sharing is, if your excuses are sabotaging your results, your action, you gotta look where is the bottom line about it. How come it's sabotaging? How come it's not allowing you to move forward and act the way that you want to? And you got to go a little bit underneath it and see what else is this saying. And sometimes, as you had written it, you wrote the opposite side of it, which is, bringing the awareness for you. But more than anything is becoming aware. Now, what do you do with it? There's so many different techniques of what you do with it, but more than anything, becoming aware of it.
Well, exactly. And I think a lot of us, probably way more of our life than we would like to admit, is being driven by that inner 9-year-old, by that inner 13-year-old. And I mean, would you let a 9-year-old make decisions about your life now? A 13-year-old make decisions about your life now? I don't think so. So like we made the decisions with the information we had at the time, right? Oh, I'm never going to be like that. Oh, I'm always going to do it this way. I'm always, well, but then we get to be an adult. And the whole action of becoming an adult is that of reparenting yourself, right? We didn't all get the world's greatest parents. We didn't all grow up in the world's greatest, home situations. We're not all members of the Happy Childhood Club. But now we're grown-ups. And we get to reparent ourselves. We get to examine those old stories, and we get to find a way of dealing with ourselves that is like a good parent, that greets our mistakes with grace, that we can offer ourselves that unconditional love and understanding that we may have wished we would got from others. We can be firm with ourselves when we need to and say, sweetheart, I know you don't want to do this, but it's Peloton time, so let's do it. And then we'll have a dance party afterwards, right? These are the things that good parents do to raise good children. And these are the things that good adults do to become better adults, right? Right.
Yeah. One of the things you wrote was this opposite, like an extreme opposite side, where you could look at the extreme opposite side and then choose. So in one area you wrote that I started laughing so out loud because it was funny to me, where you said, you can be nice to everybody, and what if you're gonna have to be nice to everybody and you don't want to be? And then you wrote, I just made a decision that is like, okay, I'm gonna walk around and just say fuck this shit up, and I'm just gonna walk around being nasty and stoned all day, and nobody wants to come with me. And I started laughing at that, and I'm like, that's true. That's one way of not having people come to you if you didn't want to be nice and caring to people. It's like, what is the alternative here? And you can be the worst possible you as an alternative, and now choose.
Right. Or maybe take a little page from their book, right? I mean, yeah, this is a story of my second husband, my other ex-husband that I love so much. And yeah, he noticed that I was being really overburdened by a lot of people's requests. Sam, could you? Sam, could you? Sam, we need someone to. Sam, could you? Sam, could you? And he said, you got to knock this off. He's like, this is eating your life. He said, take a page from me. He says, here's the rules. Buck shit up, whine and cry, show up stoned. He says, believe me, they'll stop asking you. Now, of course, he was kidding. This was not, he didn't actually mean this, but it was really funny. And it got me thinking, I was like, yeah, so what would that look like for me? What if I decided to just do it badly?
Yeah.
What if I decided to act like I didn't care? What if I decided that I was a little bit stoned, like just kind of taking it all in, a little stoned, a little out of it? Like, oh, yeah, that's an opportunity. That's a choice I could have. And then, oh, I noticed that when I think about that, yeah, I relax, my shoulders relax a little bit. If I think like I just showed up to this interview stoned, I'd be like, tell me more. Like, I don't know. I'd be like, say more, Jen. Like, I don't know. So yeah, give yourself some options. And all those things that you think are forbidden to you, if nothing else, just play around in your mind with it and see if you can't take a little sliver, take a little sliver. The other thing you were talking about, examining, some of those old patterns and old stories. One of the things I talk about in the book quite a bit is this little, it's like a game almost, that I call 90-second doodles, right? It's really good for when you're upset about something. You're feeling jealous, you're feeling sad, you're feeling upset, you're feeling put upon, whatever it is. And really, you just take like a piece of scrap paper and a pen, like a ballpoint pen, and just draw the feeling. Right now, this is not about making art. No one's ever going to see this. Like stick figures and crazy shapes are fine. And we're going to do it for 90 seconds. I mean, it's quick. But there's something about getting that feeling out onto paper and being able to look at it and be like, wow, I drew me with a boulder on top of me. Man, that's intense, And it's one thing to say to your sweetheart, I had a really terrible day. It's another thing to say, I feel like there's a boulder on top of me. Right now we're getting something a little more vivid, a little more real, and something that's unique to you and your situation. You're not just busy or overwhelmed or tired the way everybody says that they are. You're carrying around boulders. Mm-hmm. Right? So, and then you can, of course, do a second drawing of like, how would you like to feel? and do a second 90-second doodle of what would you love to feel like? Oh, I'd love it if that, oh, and look, I drew like the boulder turned into a balloon. Oh, that feels better. That's nice. And now we can think, okay, well, how could I enact that in my life? What could I do that would make these boulders feel a little bit more like balloons?
Very much. All right, everybody, the 15-minute method. It's the surprisingly simple art of getting it done by Sam Bennett. I still have the question, how come 15 minutes?
Because everybody's got 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got 15 minutes. Everybody's busy. I know. And you always see the things like, oh, you're supposed to, work out 5 hours a week. And I'm always like, really? What 5 hours is that? Show me those 5 hours, please. Right? But 15 minutes is, even people who are super overscheduled can manage 15 minutes. And it's a broad enough block of time to, like I said, to really get something done. But not so much as to, eat up your day. And I'm certainly not, I didn't invent the idea of a 15-minute work time. It's lots and lots of people have talked about it. And it allows you to, eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? We think, oh, I need to clean out my whole closet, Sam. I can't do that in 15 minutes. Well, no, but you can do these 5 hangers, and say, oh, love this. Oh, that needs to be repaired. I'm going to take that to the dry cleaner today. Oh, this is old and I don't ever like that shirt, right? Great. Done. Next day, 5 more hangers. Do this much of the junk drawer. Do this much of the bookshelf. Little bit. And stop putting yourself out, And
are you suggesting to put many of these 15 minutes during the day, like one for taking care of yourself, one for resting, one for a task that you need to do? So instead of more than anything is, if something is overwhelming you and it's a huge chunk, then bring it back into 15 minutes. As I'm saying this, I'm like, this would be amazing for people who have the attention deficit hyperactive. Because
let me tell you, I have a thing I sell on my website. It's called the Daily Practicum. It's a subscription. And every weekday, Monday to Friday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, we get on the Zoom, say hello, set the timer for 15 minutes. Everybody turns off their camera, does their thing. 15 minutes later, timer goes off, and everybody looks up at me with this like post-orgasmic glow. Like, I can't believe it. I did it. I made that phone call. I've been putting off that phone call for 6 weeks and I just did it. Somebody else says, I did it. I sent that card to my friend who just lost her husband and I knew I wanted to write to her, but I didn't know what to say, but I just did it. I just wrote the card and now I have it to send. Or, I did this much in my closet. I did this much writing. It's amazing. And it's so good for the people with ADD and ADHD. It's called body doubling or parallel play, right? Knowing that you're sort of in a room with other people who are also working. Again, we're tribal. Feelings are contagious. When you know that everybody else is working, you're like, well, I want to be working too. Yes, I would want to do that. Even though we're not in an actual room, we're in a virtual room, but it still works. It also works to have it on your calendar, right? I have some people who have subscribed to this. Some people are there every single day. Some people are there sometimes, and some people never show up in person, but the fact that it is on their calendar every day is enough to motivate them to do it. Plus, they've paid for it. It's not very expensive, but they paid something. And again, when you invest a little bit of money, right, you want to know what's important to you, look at your bank account and look at your calendar. I will tell you what's important to you. Yeah. Something you're putting a little money behind, something you're actually scheduling on your calendar really helps move you forward. And that community, that everybody else is there too. And we'll say, yay, and hooray for each other. It's really fun. It's really fun.
Good idea. That's a wonderful idea to have. Anything we haven't touched upon that you really want people to know?
I want to say you're doing great. You all are doing great. You're so hard on yourselves and you try so hard to be better and you have such big dreams and it's not too late. And you can get started on the things that really matter to you. Because when you spend 15 minutes a day on something that lights you up inside, we see that light in your eyes. You're calmer, you're less reactive, you have better ideas. We love this version of you. So stop telling yourself that you're going to write that poem later, that you're going to write that book later, that you're going to, do whatever it is that you like to do later, and start doing it today.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to promise you and myself and everybody that every day I'm going to do a 15-minute, almost like a live video of something that shows up for me in my growth, and just share it.
I love it. That makes me very happy. I love that. Thank you for saying that. That's great. So all of you, this is your invitation too, to make a commitment to yourself right now. And again, even if you just try it one day.
Yeah.
One day and see what happens. Try it for a week and see what happens. Try it for a month and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, again, our logical brain knows, like if I practice ukulele for 15 minutes a day, in a couple of weeks, I'll be a better ukulele player. And in a couple of years, I'll be a much better ukulele player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much the world needs better ukulele players, but it's out there, right? So you can learn a language, you can...
Don't knock it when you're there, and people will know they need you.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Where can people find you?
I'm on all the socials as The Real Sam Bennett, and you can find my website at The Real Sam Bennett.
The real
my
one.
My team keeps threatening to make the fake Sam Bennett, which is of course me just being there going, don't do anything. No one cares. We're going to have to get that site up now. So it's therealsambennett.com. And please jump on the email list, because that's really how I communicate. I try to remember to post things on the socials, but I don't always. But if you're on my email list, you can write me and tell me about your 15 minutes, and we'll be pen pals and best friends. It'll be great.
That's awesome. So everybody, don't miss out on this. The 15-minute method, the surprisingly simple art of getting it done by Sam Bennett. So what is the website?
For me, is therealsambennett.com. Mm-hmm.
SamBennett.com. Okay, beautiful. It was such a great pleasure to meet you. It was so fun to read your book. Everybody, the book is fun. I'm telling you, the titles are fun. The way it's written is fun. I mean, I'm laughing. I'm learning and I'm laughing and I'm having fun with it. So I promise you, this is a fun book that actually works, and it's fun. So I really recommend it to everybody. It was such a pleasure to meet you all the way from Connecticut now, and you're a California girl who went to, from one sea to another. So enjoy.
From one corner of the country to the other. Well, please say hello to the Pacific Ocean for me. Thank you so much for having me on. It was really joyful. Thank you.
Well, and for everybody who's out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you, 15 minutes at a time, as Sam says it. Until next week, bye-bye.
Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy, developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine, is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.